My next Patreon question is from Sonia, who wants to know how a cult Disney film flopped at the box office. There's been something of a conspiracy theory going around that Treasure Planet was deliberately set up to fail by the higher-ups at Disney, so they could have an excuse to quit producing hand-drawn animated films and switch to CG films. The fact that Treasure Planet came out around the same time as the second Harry Potter film and Die Another Day, and alleged shoddy marketing has been cited as evidence for this. Do you think there's any merit to these claims, or is this just a case of disgruntled fans looking for an easy scapegoat? I'll be honest, a lot of film fans like to throw out these conspiracy theories about a movie's production and box office performance when I think the truth is often a lot more mundane. So no, I don't think the film was set up to fail, and I think it flopped for other reasons. Sonia did cite the competition, and that might have been a factor. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets was the big-ticket movie at the box office around that time, but Disney also had Santa Claus 2. Even though it was on its 5th weekend of release when Treasure Planet opened, that movie was still going strong. I also think Treasure Planet was hurt by coming out too soon after the disappointing performance of Atlantis: The Lost Empire. I can speak to this from personal experience. I did not care much for Atlantis, and the marketing for Treasure Planet made it look like it was in a similar vein, so it just did not grab my interest. I had not turned my back on Disney or hand-drawn animation, though, as, like a lot of people, I saw Lilo & Stitch in theaters some months earlier. That movie was helped by a brilliant marketing campaign with Stitch being cleverly inserted into a bunch of Disney movies. It sold the film as being a funny and charming animated movie with a tone not too dissimilar to other hit animated films from the time. That's another factor. Audiences were moving away from the grand adventures that Disney had produced a lot during the 90s. In the early 2000s, they wanted the animated films to be witty comedies. That's partly why movies like Shrek, Monsters Inc., Ice Age, and Lilo & Stitch were very successful. Treasure Planet was marketed like a typical science fiction adventure, and even before Atlantis, audiences had already rejected Don Bluth's Titan A.E. It just was not a film they had an appetite for. Now, I do think the notion Disney executives had that audiences had lost interest in hand-drawn animation was unfounded. After all, Lilo & Stitch was released only 5 months before Treasure Planet and was a box office hit. I highly doubt people turned on hand-drawn animation in the span of 5 months. Brother Bear was released the following year and was also profitable and more than double the gross of Treasure Planet. Something Lilo & Stitch and Brother Bear had in common was that they were given reasonable budgets without sacrificing the animation quality people had come to expect from Disney. Treasure Planet was a lot more expensive, and while I can certainly see that money on the screen, maybe the lesson Disney could have taken was to focus on controlling the budget for their future animated films. A few years later, Universal released Curious George, which cost $50 million to make and looked gorgeous. Treasure Planet is not the only hand-drawn film people think Disney intentionally sabotaged. I often see the disappointing box office of the Winnie the Pooh movie from 2011 attributed to the film it opened against. In North America, that movie was released on the same day as Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. A number of people think this was done on purpose to hurt the film's grosses. However, I think Winnie the Pooh would have pulled in similar numbers regardless of when it was released. The movie was even released in the United Kingdom a few months earlier, far away from Harry Potter, and did not exactly light up the box office there either, despite the character being a beloved British icon. What really hurt the film is that Disney had already oversaturated the market with Winnie the Pooh movies in the 2000s, and it also started marketing the brand towards the preschool crowd. So you had the 4th theatrical Winnie the Pooh film in 11 years, with the previous film only grossing $52 million worldwide and $18 million domestic, and a franchise which did not have that much appeal beyond young children and the occasional animation fan. So with all that in mind, its box office performance should not have been too surprising. I do think John Lasseter should have fought harder to keep hand-drawn animation going at Disney, as The Princess and the Frog was following a period where Walt Disney Animation was not exactly breaking box office records, and Winnie the Pooh had to deal with the reasons I just mentioned. Honestly, at the end of the day, I tend to find conspiracy theories quite boring, and reality is more ordinary and dull than people might want to admit. Thank you for your question, Sonia.